All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 19th, 2021 meeting of the Ware Board of Selectmen via Zoom. We'll start with a roll call of attending selectmen. Chairman Hippler here, Vice Chairman Meany.
Here.
Selectman Van.
I'm here.
Selectman Osborne.
I'm here.
And Selectman Burdick.
Here.
Gang's all here. Okay, we will move to public comment.
I'd like to speak if no one else is jumping in.
Yeah, go ahead, Travis.
Great. I have a few questions, and most of these are regarding the ZBA meeting of April 6th. The first question is RSA 91A2 says that all persons shall be permitted to attend any meetings of those bodies or agencies, and that's after listing several, including the ZBA. On 6th April, the town administrator, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, refused to let a half dozen or more citizens into the ZBA meeting. Her actions prevented several people who opposed the variance at 271 Quaker Street from attending the meeting, including but not limited to Michael Anthony O'Day, Martha Kalugian, Dan Recupero, Rochelle Kelly, and State Representative Leah Cushman. Can you explain how the Board of Selectmen will prevent the town administrator from violating RSA 91A2 again in the future?
Travis, why don't we get all the questions out and then
Sure.
We'll go from there.
Would you like me to just read them all? And okay. Question two. Again, RSA.
Pause in between.
Sure. Again, and I can also follow up by email. Again, RSA 91A2 says that all persons shall be permitted. In the context of the statutes, the word shall means that an action is mandatory and not subject to discretion. On 6th April, either the town administrator or the ZBA chair, Jack Dearborn, on information and belief, ejected me from the ZBA meeting at 5 minutes and 10 seconds for speaking calmly and non-disruptively when no one else was speaking. When I tried to rejoin the meeting, I was denied entrance. Can the BOS explain why the town administrator, or whoever did this, believes that they are free to violate RSA 91A2 and expel from public meetings people who express opinions that they dislike? Can you explain how the town of Ware will prevent this from happening again to me or to anyone else in the future? Third question. Given that multiple Ware citizens were denied entrance to the meeting in violation of RSA 91A2 and were denied their right to give testimony on issues before the ZBA, does the board agree that the decisions reached by the ZBA on 6th April are legally invalid? When will the ZBA meet to readdress the issues in a legally compliant meeting? Question 4. As you know, in 2019, I sued the town of Ware to overturn a building permit that was issued in violation of the town's zoning code. The town retained attorney Christopher B. Drescher, Esquire, New Hampshire Bar ID number 264845. Attorney Christopher Drescher took the lead in defending the case, including the 3 activities of 1, mediating without assistance on the town's behalf on 26 February 2020, 2, preparing a trial memorandum and commentary on the record in August 2020 and signing it as the sole responsible attorney, and 3, leading the oral argument in court on 15 September 2020 with some minor assistance from law partner and father, Bill Drescher. On 6th April, Jack Dearborn, chair of the ZBA, said that the town's attorney had died and thus the ZBA needed to reschedule the variance hearing for 271 Quaker Street, a variance hearing that has been on the April schedule since December of 2020. I contacted attorney Christopher Drescher's office, and it turns out that the attorney is still very much alive. What was the actual reason that Jack Dearborn delayed the variance hearing? And then the final question, what was the reason that that story that the attorney had died, why was that told instead of the actual reason for the delay being given? And that concludes all of my questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Travis, could
Yes.
you send an email out to us, because there's
Absolutely.
a lot there.
Absolutely, I'll do that. Thank you,
Thank you.
Sherry.
Yeah.
And this is Chief Moore. Would you like me to address just a few of those comments, or just want me to respond via email?
Yeah, no, go ahead and respond, Chief. That's fine.
Okay, so what we're looking at is free speech in public meetings. And this just has to do with a few of the questions, not all the questions, obviously. This is just a general parameter. A goal of the Ware Police Department is to keep the peace. This includes providing a safe environment for town business to be conducted, while also ensuring the constitutional freedoms guaranteed to citizens are maintained. A situation recently unfolded where a question was posed to the Ware Police Department on what action could be taken against a citizen who was disorderly through verbal disruption during a public meeting. We obtained the opinion of our legal counsel, our police legal counsel, as well as the town attorney. Both concur disruption of a public meeting is grounds for disorderly conduct under RSA 644, section 2, 3, B, and C. That reads, a person is guilty of disorderly conduct if he purposely causes a breach of the peace, public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or recklessly creates a risk thereof by, section B, is disrupting the orderly conduct of business in any public or government facility, or disrupting any lawful assembly or meeting of persons without lawful authority. To help explain how the courts have interpreted balancing a citizen's free right to speech against the government's interest to conduct business in an orderly fashion, we referenced three sources which we found online. First is from the New Hampshire Municipal Association, Public Meetings and Freedom of Speech, where the citizens have a right to speech. And I'm just going to summarize what we found. There is no absolute right to speak at a public meeting. Certain statutes create rights to speak at public hearings under certain circumstances. For example, a budget hearing under RSA 32.5 or a zoning board of adjustment hearing under RSA 676.7. And a violation of these rights may, in some instances, be a violation of the constitutional due process law. And I'll get into that in a later article we read. An ACLU document out of the Washington branch, the state of Washington, not the DC, they answer a few questions. And this is, the article is called Knowing Your Rights Regarding Public Comments and Other Speech at Local Government Meetings. If a public comment period is provided, can the body limit the discussion to certain periods? And this is what we saw on the April 6th meeting. Certain local government meetings are considered limited public forums. This means that a city council can enact viewpoint neutral place, time, and manner restrictions on speech if there is a legitimate and compelling government interest. The courts have said that imposing restrictions to preserve civility and decorum are necessary to further the forum's purpose of conducting public business. Another question, can a local government provide for public comment but restrict obscenity or disruptive conduct by speakers? If speakers are being actually disruptive or threatening at any time during public hearings, their speech may be restricted by the government body. From the New Hampshire Office of Energy and Planning, free speech at public meetings, the New Hampshire Right to Know law. So this has to do particularly with 91A, which Mr. Cochran was just referencing. Meetings open to the public. No one has a right to disrupt a meeting or to speak without being invited. Chapter 91A only gives a right to attend, not a right to participate. Right to know, this is another topic. Right to know does not include the right to speak. Chapter 91A does not give any person the right to speak at a public meeting. If someone is disrupting the meeting or interfering with the board business, the chairman can order the person out of the room with the help of a police officer if needed. It goes on to further state there's a responsibility to conduct the meeting in an orderly manner. When a defendant continues to interrupt and refuses to come to order, the chairman has the authority to order him or her from the room. Due process and rights to a public hearing, constitutional right to be heard during a public hearing concerning a matter which affects a person's property rights. It's not related to the First Amendment. It's related to the right of having their property deprived without due process. And what they found is a court process is more applicable to help get that satisfied. All this information I'm going to go ahead and post on the police website, just if anybody wants to review it. For reference going future, like I said, we're just putting this out as information to make sure that meetings are conducted orderly so we don't have anything where we actually have to get involved in the future. Thank you.
Okay, so on that topic, I think what we'll do is from here on, where this is public comment, we will address any more questions or conversation, I'll call it, rebuttals, etc. via email to the board and the police chief and related departments. So, any other public comment?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
I believe Chief Moore was referring to me. At no time was I disrupted.
Sir, can you state your name and address?
John Rauscher, 273 North Stark Highway.
Thank you.
Is it my understanding that the town of Ware observes Robert's Rules of Order?
I would believe so.
That's correct.
Okay. So Robert's Rules of Order states, well, first of all, Mr. Dearborn chose to veer from the stated meeting agenda. It's my experience in the town of Ware that a posted agenda is used as the meeting format, and Robert's rule states that, quote, the chair himself cannot depart from the prescribed order of business, which only the assembly can do at least 2/3 vote, end quote. That's subsection 40. I was not disruptive. I waited for a pause in the conversation, at which time I raised a point of personal privilege. And Robert's rule states a question of privilege, i.e. personal privilege, which I announced during the brief break in Mr. Dearborn speaking, is allowed to interrupt the present speaker, is not able to be seconded, not debatable, and not amendable, and cannot be reconsidered, end quote. Furthermore, such a question, be it for information or privilege, takes precedence over the current motion or at any time, even when no question is pending, end quote. So contrary to what Chief Moore has found, I disagree with his findings. I do believe I was illegally ejected, and I think there were plenty of witnesses to that end. Furthermore, Mr. Dearborn tried to silence me by talking over me when I was clearly had the floor, and all I did was state that he was out of order, and for that I was silenced and ejected. That's my right as a person who has the floor to state that someone's out of order by speaking over me. So I'd like to know, the reason I raised a point of privilege is because he brought up the attorney, and I asked how much the town had spent on said attorney, at which point he refused to answer, and that's when he started talking over me. So I would pose that question to the select board tonight. I'd very much like to know how much in legal fees the town has spent on fighting a building process that was found in court to be illegal, and now, and furthermore, trying to pass a zoning amendment that itself was failed, and then is now trying to pass a backdoor variance to allow people to keep their building who, number one, didn't follow the law to begin with. And I'm really tired of being a resident in this town for 21 years and seeing all the good old boy deals. I mean, I've seen Chief Rigney, I've seen the sex scandals in the police departments, I've seen numerous legal challenges to the town that the town has lost or paid off. And quite frankly, I'm sick of it. And as a town voter, I feel like the people responsible for these back-end dealings should be censored, forced to resign, and a lien placed on their property so that until they repay the town legal fees that are from my tax money for a fight that has no business being fought. So the question I have for the select board is, when is the select board going to start straightening things out in this town and stop playing good old boy games? And I find members of the select board as guilty as members of the zoning board, quite frankly, if they're turning cheek or doing things to appease neighbors. It's all baloney. And I appreciate your research, Chief Moore, but if the town is going to observe Robert's Rules of Order, they can't do it for their convenience. They have to do it across the board. And I yield. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, John.
Ricky, I'd like to ask one more brief question, if I may, but if you're short on time.
No, just one more question. And
great. So first of all, I'd like to thank Chief Moore for his summary of the laws. That was very much in keeping with my understanding of the laws as well. And so let me say that I do agree with the understanding that police have the power to maintain order in meetings and that members of the police department can eject disorderly people. I also agree that there is a distinction between the right of attendance and the right of speech. And so I have sort of a point and a question. And the point is that the distinction between attendance and speaking is a real one. And doing meetings over Zoom, we certainly have that. People can be muted, which is distinct from people being ejected. And I would like to encourage the board, when it thinks about this, to codify that into a process. And I could certainly imagine, everyone being muted until a area of public comment opens up at a certain point in the meeting. And second, I agree that people can be ejected from meetings when they're being disruptive, but my understanding, like the chief's, is that is a police power and not a power that is delegated to other members of the town government. And I would encourage the board to come up with a process that keeps that police power with the police and not allow it to be exercised by those who legally aren't able to. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Okay. Any other public comment? All right. We will move on to department head committee items. And we have
I'm back.
Oh, okay. Hi.
All right. So just staffing, for those not aware, one of our officers, Officer Tom Ouellette, has resigned effective this past Saturday, April 17th, 2021. He went to Bow Police Department. The good news on the back end of that is we got an intern toward the beginning of the year. He was from Plymouth State. He's getting ready to graduate in May. He has completed all of his pre-employment testing with us and passed. We're currently scheduling a meeting with the Board of Selectmen to have his first interview, and hopefully he'll be hired, which would be my approval. We're looking at an August 30th academy date. Should the board decide to bring him on, after graduation in December, he'll do his field training and hopefully be a released officer where he can operate as a single officer unit sometime around March 2022. So we have 12 authorized personnel. Once Officer Ouellette has left, that leaves us 2 vacancies. Officer Lewis continues to be workman comp modified duty. We did just give a written test this past Saturday. We had 3 applicants and we're awaiting the results of those. Second thing I did, we're in the process of switching over to FirstNet as part of the push to talk feature. Sorry, as part of the push to talk feature, we can get it's called a vocality row IP, FirstNet Ready Light. That's the, I guess, the housing unit at the station we would need, which would allow us to have the phones act as our secondary radio source, essentially. We can get a 2-channel or a 4-channel. A 4-channel would only be needed if the board plans to eventually add DPW to that system. 2-channel would provide a channel for police and a channel for fire. I do have the quotes on that. The 2-channel quote is $6,895. The 4-channel is $10,159. I'll send that information to the board for your review tomorrow, just so we can start looking at that. And that's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Chief, and thank you, Officer Ouellette, for your service to the town. You will be missed, that's for sure. I definitely enjoyed working side by side with him.
If I can, real quick, what is the board's feeling on, a little late now, but an exit interview for Officer Ouellette?
I mean, I'm willing myself. I'm willing to hear anybody that's willing to, talk to us post-employment. If Tom's willing to entertain the idea, then I'm okay with it. How about the rest of the board, Jack?
Yes, I'm in favor of it if he'd like to.
Okay. Chief, do you think that's something that he'd be in tune to?
I do believe he would be willing to do that with the board.
Okay. All right. Naomi, is that something that between you and the chief and Tom can set up for us?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, I have a question for you about FirstNet. How are you planning on, coming up with the money for that during a default budget year?
So my default budget is $16,000 for phone lines. We had to do some finagling with what we were looking at. And you'll see some of that. For instance, we had a domestic violence phone. We got rid of that phone because all phones will dial 911. So if we have just a base phone, we could get that phone off our plan. If we agree with AT&T to renew or get a new phone every year, we get credits for that renewal. Those credits will help us get the monthly bill to what I need to get it within my current budget. So my budget won't be raised with the moving over to FirstNet from Verizon.
Okay.
Just to follow up on Jack's question, what about the purchase of the radio gateway?
That's the box I was talking about?
Correct.
Yeah, I don't have that in the budget. That would have to be like an end-of-year purchase or something.
Okay.
It's definitely needed because it's a system we need since our radios are so poor. What that does, it provides a push-to-talk feature on all of our phones where all we have to do is push and it goes through that box and it'll relay back over the radio.
Does the price of the 2-channel, 68 or whatever it was, $6,800 for argument's sake, does that include installation or is installation above and beyond?
From what I understand, that includes everything except for monthly fees. And the monthly fee, I believe that's just the internet fee, which is $39.99 price of a phone, from what I understand.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any questions for the chief?
No dates.
Okay. Frank, just so you know, you're unmuted.
So does that mean you can hear me?
That is correct.
Okay, well, I'm all set, so I'll try to.
Okay, Frank, you're all set. You're muted.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
fine. Yeah.
I'll always be on a learning curve.
No, that's fine. I'm glad you're here.
I can hardly wait for you to open up the conference room.
I'm sure.
We miss seeing your smiling face, Frank.
Yeah, you don't want to see it, believe me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so any other department heads on, Naomi? I don't see any scrolling there, other than Andrew.
I'd like to speak up real quick regarding Park.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Lisa or Janine were unable to make it this evening. We had a at our meeting last week. We were talking about the tennis courts, about reopening them and the maintenance and such. It was brought up during that meeting that the condition of the tennis court pavement was in poor condition. Cracks, uneven pavement, etc. We discussed at that meeting the possibility of closing it down for safety purposes. Last Thursday evening, I believe, Selectman Hippler and I, we met quickly at the tennis courts, and I believe him and I are in agreement that it is not really safe to use at this point. Trip hazard, somebody's going to roll an ankle. And I'd like to bring it to the board, see what everybody thinks about padlocking the tennis courts till at such time we can formed, which I believe we are waiting on repair bids, and I believe repairs are going to be covered under the Emma Sawyer Trust Fund, if I remember correctly. So in short, I'd like to go ahead and see if we can get everybody's agreement to padlocking the tennis courts, both doors, until safe to use again.
I mean, like I said, I would agree with Selectman Van. There's some pretty wide cracks, an inch or more probably in width, depressions in the asphalt. It wouldn't take a whole lot, especially with an unsupported shoe like a tennis shoe, to really be in a world of hurt rather quickly with the wrong move. Different story if it was, obviously a work boot or something like that, but that's not what you play in tennis or whatever it may be in. So Again, I would agree with Selectman Van that we really need to do something about it sooner than later. And until then, I'm in support of at least, closing it down to the plan. But,
Ricky? Okay.
yep.
So I received an email from Denise Purington. Her and Bruce are kind of the spearheads to the pickleball group.
Okay.
And they also had heard that there's going to be a recommendation for the selectmen to close the tennis courts until repaired. She was wondering if we could approach it differently because they only use half a court. They felt that 2 half courts are safe to play on. And then she asked any chance the recommendation to the selectmen could be to tape off the 2 unsafe sides and leave 2 sides open. That would allow play to continue until repairs take place. So that's basically they're asking, but again, it's something that the board has to decide on.
I don't know how you would effectively rope it off and keep it up, honestly, without somebody going in there, ripping it down, wanting to use the whole thing. There's no way you can get a piece of equipment in there to drop a Jersey barrier or something like that in there. So just putting caution tape up or anything like that, or traffic cones is not going to work. Not in that situation, I don't believe. That's just my own 2
No,
cents.
I was just sharing the email, and also the bids are due in on Thursday. I only have one from the same company that bid on it before, and we'll see. I'd like to think we could get started right away.
Okay.
I would say before we rope it off that the rest of the board go down and take a look at it, and that way we're all in agreement.
Yep. I think that's fair. But is that something that the rest of the board can do before the end of the week?
Well, we got to come up Wednesday night, Ricky, for a non-public, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And come up a few minutes early and go over there.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Meet at quarter after.
Meet after 6. Over there, 10 past, quarter past, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll work.
Just keep in mind, though, it's not posted. You posted at 10:30 at the town office, so.
Okay.
You're not posted to go 6:15 as a group, so.
I won't go over them. I don't think John and I have to go over, but that's also okay.
I've already been there, so as long as it's
I would say go individually at your leisure when you have time. Doesn't have to be that night, could be tomorrow.
Right.
Right.
Sometime at some point between now and Wednesday night, individually go over, take a look at it.
Are we meeting next Monday also?
I'm thinking that right now, and only I didn't get a chance to talk to Benji, I'm thinking yes, and largely for the fact that he's got paving bids due on Friday, so he was thinking he might like to award on Monday. I'll talk to him a little bit more. So when you get to the manifest, I think we should maybe plan on it, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm thinking we are, but I'm not 100% sure because I believe yes. Let's plan on it. How's that?
So next Monday we're having another meeting.
Yeah, he wants to get in line in the paving. So another week could maybe put it off a little further is what his thoughts were, but I didn't confirm that. So I would say yes, we would meet.
All right. Then in that case, can we go ahead and put this on the agenda to discuss again next Monday evening?
Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, you all set, John?
Yep, I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so the next under department head community items is Conservation Commission. And recognize Andy Fulton.
Thank you, Chairman Hippler. I'm back just to address any questions that the board might have on Conservation Commission membership. I believe there are 2 applications, or there's an application for renewed membership as well as an application for new membership in the Conservation Commission.
I just saw it was backing up this Python.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I guess that's unrelated.
Yeah. Frank, you're unmuted again.
We met last week as a commission. We certainly would welcome Mark Phillips as a new member, and we would hope that Lori Davis would be acceptable to continue as a full member of the commission. She restated her interest, and if that's the case, then we'd love to see Mr. Phillips come on as an alternate, which he suggested would be acceptable. And if for some reason a member is not approved for renewed membership, we just request that there be some respectful indication of why that membership was not renewed, so that we can be better informed as a commission about what's involved with our ongoing membership. So the second part is to answer questions if there are questions about the membership issues with the Conservation Commission.
Okay, Andy, so let me just get this straight. So it's a reappointment for Lori as a full, and it's a new appointment as a full for Mark. Is that correct?
Well, if Lori were reappointed, then we'd have a full membership, and then Mark would be an alternate.
Okay.
If Lori was not reappointed, then we would have a position for a full membership, and Mark would be interested in that seventh position, if you will, on the commission.
Okay. All right.
And I guess the crux of the issue is we would hope that members acquit themselves well with the commission, doing the commission's work, attending the commission's meetings, and that would be the overriding criteria for whether a person is reappointed or not. Particularly seeing as I haven't heard a reason related to Lori's performance on the commission to not reappoint her. I just respectfully request that some form of communication allow us the respective understanding why a member is or potentially would no longer be welcome to serve on the commission.
Okay. All right. I think we have Mark on the call. Is that correct? Mark, you out there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I think what we'll do, and rest of the board, you can let me know. I think we'll hear from Mark if that's acceptable, and go from there.
So I just was looking to be appointed to the commission. I've been involved somewhat with the commission, involved with the Snowmobile Club, and in turn have decided that we need to follow up with a lot of what's going on in the town. So I've decided to volunteer and see if I can be involved to protect our conservation areas that we need in town.
Okay. And you've been an alternate for a while, haven't you?
No.
Oh, you have not? I
No.
thought you were, okay. I thought you were involved in the commission. My mistake.
Going before the commission.
Okay. All right.
He's certainly known by the commission. So and known in a positive light. No, nothing negative there.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yes. Yeah.
So, all right. So Mark, I just want to make sure that that we that we're in this for the right reasons and not only for the Snowmobile Club. Obviously, I understand that you're very involved in that, and obviously snowmobiling in that season is very, very low impact in conservation land. But any other reasons for joining the commission? Or?
Well, as a resident in town, a business owner and stuff, we need to just monitor a lot of the growth and we need to protect certain areas within the town. Town's a nice small town, we don't need to make it Manchester or anything else. And you kind of need to make sure that there's a bit of a watchdog that watches out on behalf of the town. And being a resident and a business owner, I'm looking to be more involved in that.
Okay. Any other board members have questions for Mr. Phillips? I can't be the only one.
Mark, John Van, how are you this evening?
How you doing, John?
Good. You had mentioned earlier at the first part of your little introduction that there were some things that you wanted to get a hold of, or maybe I misunderstood you. Is there something specific that that brings you to want to join the Conservation Commission?
Well, I more or less just want to, being involved with the Snowmobile Club, I got involved with the Conservation Commission. And after attending meetings and seeing what all is involved, I want to be a part of it to make sure that it's continued and that, you know, the areas are protected for the townspeople.
Okay. That's all I had. I just wanted clarification.
Okay.
Mark, I got another question for you. It's been stated multiple times by many members of the public about access to the conservation lands. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Is that something that piques your interest? I'll say a lot of walking trail interest, et cetera. And not to say the Conservation Commission has fallen on deaf ears, because I know it hasn't, but just want to get your point of view on it.
Well, I want to make sure that it's town land is available for town use, townspeople in the proper way. You just can't open it up to everything, and that we need to make sure that, you know, we're looking out for everybody. And there's, you know, horses, bike riding, snowmobiling. And these are the things that we want to make sure that we can maintain.
Okay. I'm getting ahead of Andy.
Okay. It's a hot button issue, but as probably, I don't know, there might not be too many on the call tonight who remember, there used to be a Ware ATV club. And I just wanted to remind the board that even with that, which, yeah, there can be a lot of trail damage by ATVs, but we worked with the Ware ATV club trying to set up a sanctioned trail in the Felch Farm Forest over by the transfer station. So I just want to put it out there that our commission does have a history of even working with those who get, I think, in too many ways maligned for tearing things up. Of course, it does happen, and it's unfortunate, but you know, we certainly have and recognize that there are a lot of stakeholders and a lot of folks who can respectfully enjoy the outdoors. And it's not a, you know, we recognize that, you know, it's not the same interest for every person in town. Different folks have different interests, different types of ways they like to enjoy the outdoors. So right. I just want to take this opportunity to echo the concern about access, that, you know, we as a commission are not trying to, you know, be narrow-minded in what we view as proper access. There is legal access, of course, that's a different thing, but we do recognize there are a lot of different types of interests in how different ways people in town enjoy open space, conservation lands, town forests, and the like.
Yep, no, I agree. And I guess if that was a pointed question, it really wasn't. It was just, I know it's been a hot topic in years past about, you know, the conservation trail system. And I know that there's been discussion on the Conservation Commission about it. Mostly, you know, rolls back to how to fund a proper trail system, marking, et cetera. You know, so I know it goes back, you know, obviously years. I just, like I said, I just want to get a little input on what he thought of it. That's all.
No, I really appreciate that. It is you know, a recurring point of interest, and I know we're not quite up to snuff with some of our neighbors and what they've done on beautifying and marking, and we are far from done. Funding is, of course, always a concern when you're starting, and trying to achieve a vision that somebody else has achieved elsewhere. But we keep working at it. So I appreciate your recognizing the interest, and ultimately, it's a form of support. If you can let us know that you're hearing something that we're not hearing loud and clear, it's very important for us to know it. So thank you, Ricky, for that emphasis.
Yep, absolutely. Not a problem. All right. Any other board members have anything for Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Go ahead. All right. I guess that's a no. Thought I heard a yes, but okay. I guess I will entertain a motion for a full member appointment between Lori and Mark.
I'll make a motion for a full member appointment for Mr. Phillips.
It's been moved. Is there a second for Mr. Phillips for full membership to the Conservation Commission?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Take a roll call vote. Chairman Hippler, I'm going to abstain. Vice Chairman Meany?
Yes.
Selectman Burdick?
I'm going to abstain because I'm on that committee.
Okay. Selectman Osborne?
Yes.
Selectman Van?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I know that Mr. Fulton asked for a reason for the appointment. Does any member want to speak to that?
I didn't quite understand the question, Ricky.
Andy, you want to go ahead again? Just
sure.
Maybe
sure.
I can
Thank you.
Summarize it correctly.
Thank you, Chairman Hippler. My request is if Ms. Davis is not to be her interest in renewing her appointment to the commission is not to be acted on by the Board of Selectmen, I request some form of explanation so I can understand why a member in good standing is not to be reappointed to the commission. So Vice Chair Meany, that's the gist of it. Just I'd like to understand, or if there a one sentence statement, or is there at least confirmation that it was, whatever the reasoning may be, it's not related to performance on the job, so to speak, as a member of the Conservation Commission? Because I'm not aware of any activity as a Conservation Commission member that would, prejudice or show prejudice on Miss Davis's part in any fashion. I believe she's done an honorable, reasonable job, learned a lot, and been a faithful commissioner. So if there's a reason for her request for reappointment being denied or not taken up, I presume there's a reason. I would like to hear it for the record, or have some discourse so I can understand going forward how these things work. This is the first time in 15 plus years on the commission that I've known of or I get the sense that a commissioner will not be reappointed.
So
that's the gist of it. I hope that's understandable.
Selectman Van, it's not, as far as I know, it's not the board, and this is just my interpretation of it, the board is not denying it. Just nobody's making the motion. So you're talking about 5 individuals who will have, well, I'm not going to say 5 individuals. You're going to have individuals on the board that may have their own reason, but it's not a board reason. Does that make sense?
Certainly. And, maybe the request isn't, necessarily even for a public forum, I'm not necessarily asking that, but if somebody can drop me a note, give me a call, I would appreciate it. If not, then I'll try to figure it out myself.
I personally don't have anything handy, and
okay.
That's my own. But again, I'm just one member.
And let me back up just one step and I'll be done with it. Anything the commission or a commission officer, myself as chair or vice chair or the secretary could have done differently that would have helped this application for membership renewal, or beyond our control too?
I don't feel it was anything that the officers have done myself. Okay. And again, that's my own feeling.
Understand you're speaking as a member, yeah.
Right. I'm going off of a gut feeling because again, I don't know of any per se, like you said, commission meeting issues, I'll say.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have one, if there's nothing, not trying to belabor anything here, but if there's nothing more from the board on this issue, I do have one, one other point, just letting you know that when you're ready.
Yep. Any other board member like to answer Chairman Fulton's questions before he proceeds? Floor is yours.
Okay, I just wanted to address the minutes from last meeting, or April 5th meeting, just for a couple points of clarity. I'm looking at page 2 of the meeting minutes. I would like to see the word in the middle of the third paragraph on the page. It says working in the groundwater division of NHDES. I just want to point out that there is no such thing as a groundwater division, and either we can strike division and just say working at DES, or we can say working in the waste management division. I don't honestly remember whether I said I work in the waste management division or not, but if it's to be referenced, I suppose it ought to be accurate.
Oh, we can summarize and just put DES. I think that's
I think that's probably easiest. Okay. And then in the 2 paragraphs down, I believe in speaking about Secretary Camacho's coming newly into the role as secretary, one of the officers of the commission, that he has in the past worked on the minutes. I did not mean to be volunteering him again to be solely responsible for the minutes, because it does say he will be doing the meeting minutes. So I'm not sure how to reword that, but what I meant to pass along, and maybe I didn't speak clearly, is that in this role, sure, he has some oversight of the minutes, and by default, perhaps he is accepting that he may have to do the minutes, but I've appreciated having some assistance, having town administrator's assistance most recently. And so if I implied that we don't need that assistance, then I think I was out of order, and I probably have to do some minutes now that I did not realize I had to do. So
insert foot too vigorously.
Yeah, I guess so. One of the big value of having the third officer position filled as secretary, Mr. Camacho could now sort of step into the breach if the chairman or chairman and vice chair aren't present. We could, especially with the full membership, we could have the 5 other members hold a meeting, and it's very simple to have the secretary run the meeting in lieu of the chair or the vice chair. So that was really the point I wanted to get across. I did not want to, sum up Mr. Camacho's involvement as, oh, he's stuck with taking the minutes again.
Okay.
And if I could, while we're here, ask Naomi whether she has the intent to put the commission minutes from last meeting together, or whether that's something that I need to get moving on.
She's working on it.
Okay.
I see she's working. There she is.
Yeah. I mean, I take notes either way. I do for all of the Zoom meetings, just because I've actually been able to learn a lot of what's going on. So, I mean, I have notes to do it from. I haven't started it yet, but I have notes that I can do it from.
So I guess you weren't expecting to be doing them this time?
Well, I guess I wasn't, but like I said, I have very good notes that somebody could put them together, even if I ask Karen to. But you know what I mean? Well, there's enough.
I want to be very clear in my interaction with the board that I really appreciate your assistance with that, and I respectfully request that you do it again. Okay. And if you find you can't, let me know. And between myself and Secretary Camacho, or Vice Chair Nager, we'll get something together. But okay. I do appreciate. I'm not at the point of expecting support, but I sure do appreciate it.
No, and I think it goes, Andy, to the whole. I think we can find someone to help you out, either myself or Karen. Karen does a lot of planning and zoning. She's my administrative assistant. She does the selectmen, and she does it through YouTube. So it's easier when it's at a place to be recorded. I know we've had that discussion before. And then she could hop on and do it and help me out from my notes. That's what she does for planning and zoning and board of selectmen. So
terrific.
As long as we stay where we could keep it recorded, I think, between the two of us, we could make that work.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And one of these days, I'll even meet Karen.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman Hippler. I'm available if anybody on the board has questions. I would just say, I'd love to hear them right now, or catch me offline too.
Okay, I appreciate it, Andy. I appreciate your time. Is there something you can do about that? There we go. We're in good shape now. All right. Again, I appreciate your time, Andy, and the rest of the Conservation Commission. And the reason is, obviously, you guys are a volunteer board. You spend a lot of time, devote a lot of time to the preservation of what we have in conservation. I don't think myself, anyways, is just kind of a personal statement. I don't think that the town would be the same without that land. Obviously we came from farms and rural land, and we're trying our hardest, along with the commission, to preserve and to keep that historic feel to the town. Even though sometimes it doesn't look that way when you see 60 or 70 houses going in. But again, with working with a licensed forester, et cetera, like that, I mean, that's, we're doing the best for the land that we can. And again, I appreciate all your hard work into it, all 7 of you. And like I said, I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. And we hope the town remains an attractive place, and people keep thinking about us in positive light.
Absolutely. I think that's the goal. That's why I rooted down in here. So, all right, Andy, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Very well.
And thank you, Mark, as well.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on, I believe we are at the discuss and award the cemetery lawn bid contract. And Naomi, do you have the numbers? I see you jotting down notes, so I'm assuming you have the notes to.
Yeah. So I sent I sent you guys the whole thing, correct? There was a cover letter from his name is Robert Sable, Sayball, and he has a company called Landscape Exclusive. He's out of Peterborough. And he proposed this 1-year bid for 2021 of $39,000. With the package, you also had some letters of reference. 1, 2, 3, 4. There was 5 letters of reference and a certificate of insurance. which is what we had asked for. It was the one and only bid. So last year, or what we had in last year's contract, was $34,000. This is $39,000. So you're about $5,000 short from what you have in the budget if you're going to move forward, because we talked about Plan B, and no joking aside, we won't mention that because some take it to heart, but you know, we don't have a Plan B. I think we should look forward or look towards possibly, and I'm not speaking out of turn, is maybe doing it ourselves by having a seasonal crew, getting some equipment. It's just an awful lot of work because it's all handwork. But that's something you can talk about Benji with, and be part of DPW. It is in some of your other towns. But again, I'm not going to, Benji and I did talk about it, but we didn't put anything together for CIP for this year because CIP was actually done and over when we changed contractors.
Right, and I think it's a little late in the year to try and reinvent the wheel right now.
Right, so you have one bid, so it's either, you know, you award it to them, and it's only a 1 year, so your opportunity is to put it, you'll put it back out to bid with the fire as well as the municipal lawn care next time.
Okay. All right. I'm taking it that people have reviewed the letters of recommendation, et cetera, and the scope of practice.
Entertain a motion.
I'll definitely entertain a motion.
Make a motion. We accept a bid of Landscape Exclusive LLC out of Peterborough, New Hampshire for a period of 1 year for $39,000 even.
Seconded.
Second.
All right, moved by Selectman Van, seconded by Vice Chairman Meany. Do a roll call vote. Chairman Hippler, yes. Vice Chairman Meany?
Yes.
Selectman Burdick?
Yes.
Selectman Van?
Yes.
Selectman Osborne?
Yes.
Okay.
Naomi, when would they be planning on starting this? Did you have any discussion with them on that?
I did not have any discussion, but in it, which posed a question, it said that we would start, he would get his, you know, the installments are broken up as of the 30th of April, but he also knows he's got a big job ahead of him to have everything done for Memorial Day. So that was all spelled out exactly what in the bid. I can have a phone call with him and let him know, A, he's been awarded the bid because he'll have to come in and do some paperwork with Beth and then get started.
Okay. I noticed in my driving around this past weekend, can't remember the name of the cemetery, but it's on East Road. There's two cemeteries that one across from each other. It's the western side. I believe there is actually a tree down in the in that cemetery that needs to be addressed.
That was Pine Grove.
Okay.
I told that, I let Naomi know 3 weeks ago about that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, definitely let him know that he's been awarded it, and that way there and get the troops in and start working on it.
Is that tree something that's too big? Should Benji's guys go get it? I don't know what.
It's a regular tree, and it broke off about probably 15 feet up in the air. It was all rotted. So it's a good sized pine tree. I mean, it's not gigantic, but.
It probably wouldn't be bad to have one of Benji's crew or even Benji just go look at it to see if they can at least chop it up so it's a little bit more manageable. I don't know what the capabilities for tree removal of the landscape company is. Right. It's in the back lot.
It's the new area of the Pine Grove. When you first turn on to Buzzell Hill, it's right to the left, and you go in that first driveway, and it's just in 100 feet.
Is it accessible by machine?
You'd have to go into the lawn area.
Okay.
So probably you don't want to put too much in there.
No, not right now.
Right. And yeah.
Well,
probably can cut it up small and try to get it up.
We can have Naomi reach out to the DPW and see if they get a pulse on it and see what it looks like.
I got out of the car and looked at it. It didn't appear like it had taken any headstones down, but
That's
it laid
positive.
in around them. I mean, and there's a lot, there were branches, so there might be something underneath, but I couldn't see anything.
Okay, well, I think the branch is probably the new, award you could probably get after that, but the main tree part, maybe that's something that, we should take care of just initially out of the gate.
No,
Yeah.
Jesus
And just-
Christ, good horse.
What's that? What's that, Jack?
Oh, sorry, I thought I was muted. I was talking to the dog.
Oh, nice. That's not very nice calls the dog. Anyway, all right. Yeah, just reach out. I mean, if that's something that Benji and the crew want to do or are able to do, then we go from there. If not, then cross that bridge. So, all right. Okay, that looks like that is done. So the next would be to discuss the Gordon Brown buildings. And I believe we did receive some information, I'll say, in regards to that from the town warrant when the barns were accepted and the contracts that were signed. If we all had a moment to read through that, it wasn't all too many years ago, but any comments? It appears that no taxpayer revenue will be spent on that building. That's the way I kind of bottom line interpreted it.
I agree the way the lease read.
Oh. Yeah, I read through that. I agree with what you're saying. It was even asked specifically by one of our frequent gentlemen that come in here, if the roof fails, who's responsible? And I believe at that deliberative session, I believe it was Selectman Clow at the time, stated that it is not going to be paid for with taxpayer money. So essentially, this is historical society is theirs to take care of.
Okay.
Interpret this.
Yeah, I agree in reading that lease. That's what it says, that they're the responsible party for it.
Well, what it says in the lease is it says that the society should be responsible for maintaining the premises in good repair and shall be responsible for repairing or paying for repairs of all damages. I take it that's damages that we might do, but normal wear and tear is excluded. And you have a roof that's been on for 60 or 70 years. I'd say that's normal wear and tear. But we're having a meeting Wednesday night, and
okay,
we'll bring it up. We don't even have we haven't put this out to see what it's going to cost to fix that or anything yet at this point, right?
I don't believe we have, not to my knowledge.
No, we have not.
Yeah. So I'll talk to the board about it. So I'll have some information for you. I'm sure that, but it does say normal wear and tear is excluded. And I would say that a roof that's been on for that many years is going to be normal wear and tear. But like I said, we're happy to help out. So
the way I read it, it's a historical society issue, not a town taxpayer board of selectmen issue. And I would be against the town paying for this.
Well, again, I think what we need to do is, before we get too many, hairs crossed, is what we need to do is have Laura take a look at the documents that were, founded and drafted for this building, and see exactly who was on the hook for what. It sounds like we've got differences of opinion here among the board. So I would like to see Laura just take a glance over it and just make sure that, because again, the way I interpret it, the way Jack interprets it, the way Sherry interprets it, a little different. So,
well, I'm just reading what it says in the lease agreement. I'm reading
right.
it, normal wear and tear is excluded.
Right. But I mean, my honest opinion you took us through that building, when there was some flooding issues, and I don't think there's a lot of, items in that building that really, if the town isn't held on the hook to maintain that, I don't believe that building is mission critical. And I think that those items can be moved very easily into like a Connex box that can be purchased. And then you don't have to worry about a roof, and probably about half the money of a roof. So that's why I'm just looking for clarification, because I'm kind of on board with Selectman Van at this point. Is that building is, again, not mission critical and working under default budget, and barely putting enough money into the government buildings fund. Anybody that's driven by right now, anybody that's driven by the East Ware Fire Station, you can almost see plywood through it. That roof is in dire need to be done. And I think that was going to bring that up under other business, but it's chipping out very badly. There's a lot of shingles laying on the ground. That building needs a roof before the end of summer. So again, we're talking mission critical. I don't see the Brown buildings in that manner. If legally we are held to do something about it, then we cross that bridge. But myself, as one member of the board, I would want a legal opinion on it, just to see where the lines in the sand are drawn.
I would agree with you, Ricky, that we defer to legal counsel.
Okay. All right. So other than that, I guess, Naomi, is there a timeline, do you think, maybe before the end of the week?
For Laura?
Yeah.
I'm meeting her tomorrow at the Park and Ride in Concord with 3 big packets of paper.
Okay.
So this could be the 4th one.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Let's add another one.
Okay.
Again, I just want to make sure that we're in the right, that's all.
I just can't guarantee that it'll be by the end of the week. I don't know what her other workload is.
That's fine. As long as she has the documents by the end of the week, I think we're in good shape.
Okay.
Myself, anyways.
Subject of the Gordon Brown buildings, the author of that email also mentioned something, and maybe this should go under other business, but the Historical Society opening up that building 4 times a year for inspection by taxpayers.
No, that's not what it says. It says that the building can be open, the society can open the building to the public up to 4 times per year for the viewing of society artifacts. Doesn't say we have to, but we can open it up to 4 times a year if we want.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted clarification on that part.
Yeah.
I have not seen that before, so I was curious.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've actually seen the documents regarding the building myself. That was just before I got on the board. So, but again,
yeah, the other thing too, Ricky, just keep in mind, it is a town building. So that, in the course of COVID times, you do have the town hall closed. So I think that was the request, is to lift the restriction and allow it to be opened. But again,
right.
You know what I mean? It is owned by the town, Yuka.
Right. And I think that we need to, obviously, if anything, if we haven't opened up the town hall, then I sure as hell don't want to open up the Brown buildings. I think it's just inviting problems we don't need. So, all right. I think we've got a pretty good plan set forth for discussion on that. That leads us to the manifest. And move to order the treasurer to sign payroll, accounts payables, checks dated April 22nd, 2021, as included in the following manifest. Payroll manifest is $68,529.83 for weekly and monthly payroll. And accounts payable manifest of $19,033.73. John Stark for $250,000, Ware School District for $300,000, for a total of $637,563.56. The following manifests were previously ordered to be signed at the April 5th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Payroll manifest actual was $63,796.53 for weekly payroll dated 4/15. A supplemental payroll manifest for a late timesheet submittal of $420, and an accounts payable manifest of $41,255.48 for checks dated 4/15/21. Again, where we don't know if we're going to have the meeting next Monday. Further order treasurer to sign payroll checks dated April 29th, 2021, estimated to be about $75,000. Furthermore, order treasurer to sign up to the amount of $75,000 for accounts payables that cannot wait until the next scheduled meeting, The reports and actual check amounts will be reported by the Board of Selectmen by inclusion in the manifest memo at the next scheduled meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Discussion.
What?
Discussion. I believe we already talked. We are going to be meeting Monday, the 26th.
I didn't think that we had solidified that we were.
I think John, I'm sorry. I believe we are, but I think this, in case something slips through the cracks, and Benji's not ready for Monday night, then you're not having to hurry to get together. I'm planning on it, but I'm not 100% sure yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, on the manifest, it's been moved by me, seconded by Vice Chairman Meany. I'll do a roll call vote. Chairman Hippler is a no. Vice Chairman Meany?
Yes.
Selectman Burley?
Yes.
Selectman Osborne? Selectman Osborne?
Yes.
And Selectman Van?
No.
Okay, so it's a 3-2 vote. Okay, that'll bring us to the minutes of 4/5, which I need to go retrieve. Next question, did I even get them? That's the agenda. I don't know if I actually got them.
They should be, they're posted online.
Yeah, usually I get them emailed to me, but like we've been discussing, I've been having some serious issues with getting all of the emails from the town, and I don't know why. Come on, all the way to the top. I think I found them. Were they published on 4/7? That sound right?
That sounds right.
Okay, I'm downloading right now. Trying to anyways.
Ricky,
okay. Yo.
Sometimes it's easier if you just go to the website and grab them.
Right. No, I've got them. I just waiting for them to pop up. Phone's really struggling trying to run the meeting and run a download. So, all right. Page 1. Anything on page 1? Page 2.
Page 2, just the notes that Mr. Fulton did correction.
Yeah. So it'd be in the third paragraph. Chairman Fulton is a New Hampshire professional geologist working for DES, NHDES. I think that's what.
I think that's easy enough. We don't need to go into specifics.
Yep. Yep. Working for New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. All right. And then further down, Chairman Fulton also asked about changing. Oh, yeah. It says Chairman Fulton stated his role as secretary. Mike will be doing the committee meeting minutes. I guess, has done in the past. That sound right, guys?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else on page 2? Page 3? Four? Five? Six? And 7. I'll move to approve the April 5th meeting minutes as amended.
Second.
All right, seconded by Selectman Van. All in favor, roll call. Selectman Hippler, yes. Vice Chairman Meany?
Yes.
Selectman Burdick?
Yes.
Selectman Van?
Yes.
Selectman Osborne?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor. That brings it to administrator's report.
So the e-subscribe, it's not easy to push a button. You have to go back to when the last time we did it. I'm going to do it. Not that I'm trying to get out of it, but there's no report that can push a button and tell me there's 300 people. You have to go back to the last time you did it and count the new ads from there, which makes it a little difficult at times. It just, when I have a free minute, I'll get it, or I'll see if I can give Karen to get us the number to see how many have e-subscribed.
If I can ask, why is there always this push to get information? I mean, it's great to know, but it shouldn't. I don't feel it should be something you're spending a bunch of time on.
It was brought up, oh God, several times ago to see. I don't remember who even asked the question that it would be nice to know how many people are viewing it and using it and getting information, and it's just been stuck on the report since then.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what it was either.
Right. So and which brings me actually to the next one for radio communication. I know we had a little bit of discussion about push to talk. I know we left it as an open item. And we got some prices. Where do you want to go next? I don't want to leave it open for all this time. What are we chasing next? And I apologize if I don't remember, but what's our next step with them?
Well, I think I think that there's a lot of moving parts right now between multiple departments as far as radio communications in general. So I think we should leave it as a placeholder. We obviously did our due diligence, got a number from Motorola, got a plan from Motorola. And I think that was the first step. But I think that, Chief Moore is doing something. Chief Azina has wheels in motion. So I think it's like I said, I think right now we're kind of holding pattern until we see what happens with each of them.
Should we, at this point, I'm thinking we have numbers. We're going to have to prepare something for CIP, which starts about the end of August. So, I mean, maybe we should look at it and chase it again in July and see where everybody is on the moving parts.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be the best is just, fast forward to July or even end of June, maybe. Okay. I don't know if the rest of the board has any opinions on that.
I thought we were waiting for some more information from the gentleman from Motorola. Maybe I'm mistaken. I thought he was coming back for more information.
I think you're right. I think the last meeting it was brought up they were going to look at towers outside of the town. I remember up Pat's Peak and I think Wolf Hill and Deering, and they were going to have their engineers look at that and get back to us with an updated map. But that was also right as we started getting to our budget season and didn't have a chance to really dive into it much more.
Yeah, there was also a moving part with Goffstown has decided they were going to do something with their infrastructure too. So I do remember looking at the surroundings, but I also remember there's something to do with Goffstown. So I think we probably should, you're right, June, gather where we are with all parts.
Yeah.
And see what we go from there.
Absolutely.
I remember there was the discussion about the outside towers. I know Pat's Peak in particular he brought up a cost that was kind of on the high side. I thought he was also coming back with checking for another location for another possibility of another tower in town, and that was.
Well, why don't we do this before we wait till June? Why don't I reach out to Scott and see what he thought we were at and go from there?
I think that'd probably be best.
Yeah, I think that would work.
Just to see what his understanding was?
Yeah, I think that'd be fair. because I think my own feeling was that we weren't, the board and the town were not committing to a, yes, we're going forward regardless. It was, what do we need to do? And they, you know, again, there may be a little bit of follow-up, but I think that they did their piece and they said, you know, you need minimum of 3 towers for 95% portable coverage, and here's a price tag. And I think that's what we were looking for, because we had no idea what the price tag would be.
That's right. Right. And then I think shortly after that, we got some information about Goffstown doing something with their infrastructure too. So let's just see where we are, I guess, and go from there.
While we're doing that, can we reach out to Chief Vizina? I believe that I've heard some various testing with Concord Fire Alarm and the Ware radios. I guess I kind of want to get a feeling for Board of Fireworks / the fire chief. Are they considering switching over to capital area? If so, that's going to dictate a lot of things, because right now we're planning on 2, possibly 3 of our radio users in town using a new updated system. If it's going to be down to 1 and it's police, that's going to obviously change funding, things like that. So I don't know if we can try to get a feel of a direction from fire, just to make sure we're all on the same page.
And that was my point, John, was, you know, there's a lot of different irons in the fire. Maybe we could come back, you know, in that June neighborhood and see where everybody's at.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Forestry contract, last week, the Conservation Committee met. They have reviewed it. Jeremy Turner was also on the meeting, and he has not had a chance to review it and see if there's something we're missing. So I guess I will reach out, and maybe we could get this, you know, kind of, it's been hanging out there for a long time, I'll admit, and get it ironed out. And my thought is we would get together. I'm not sure what meeting in May, but we could, you know, I'd like to, like I said, my hopes of getting the agreement to an agreement that we all agree upon, send it to Laura for her last review, and then execute it from there. And that's hopefully one more thing off the agenda.
So just so for clarification, just want to make sure. Meadows End is the one that we have selected to use, correct? This is not an RFP that we're making. It's more of a contract, right?
Right. Back when, if you remember, it's been a while. Back,
yeah,
you guys wanted to have a contract agreement because no one could find any signatures on the last one. It was all blank.
Okay.
And we had a discussion for length of time. And then the suggestion was that, why don't I reach out to Laura? She must be familiar with other towns. So she did her part. I changed over Northwood to Ware, and I've distributed to everybody, but I don't want it to get dropped because I really like to keep moving on the pecking away at things on this list.
Yep, absolutely. No, I just wanted clarification. That's all.
Yep.
Thank you.
So Zoom meetings is, I've got Thursday and Monday if we need to. I put it on there. Reappointments you handled earlier. Lawn care you handled earlier. The building inspector, the position is out there. I thought I was really excited at first. I had one gentleman that called me, said he would call me last Wednesday or Thursday, and I haven't heard back from him, so I'm not sure what indication that is. So with that being said, if no one's going to be interested, I guess I'm going to have to reach out to the other communities. Goffstown is very busy. I'm sure the other ones are as well. See what we could do, maybe mutual aid wise. I know Deering at one time we talked about the gentleman that works in Francistown. Maybe he'd be interested. The gentleman that works in Dunbarton. We still have some areas that we could, you know, reach out to. The gentleman that I spoke with, new Chip, he's been doing it part-time. He's a retired contractor, and it's worked out well for him. He does it in another community. I'm not going to say where, but he does it in another community, and it's closer to where he lives than, where would be closer than the community that he's working in. So that's why I'm not going to say it, but, or his name. But we'll have to maybe look at plan B if I don't get anything by Thursday, I guess, and go from there.
Where all are we advertising this position?
Actually, I don't. I have to double check. I don't know that we did to NHMA. I gotta. I'll have to just check with Karen. I know I got it in the messenger, which is where this gentleman saw it.
I'm on the NHMA website now, and I don't see it. Just
okay, and that's where
transfer
we'll.
station.
Yeah,
transfer station foreman and truck driver. That's all I see.
Yeah, so we can put it there. We'll have to extend it, but at this point, the date can be, changed until it's filled. That's what people do too. But I don't know if how we advertise is what we'll get, because the gentleman I spoke with, being part-time, did almost 6 hours every day. He worked about 30 hours a week. So we have budgeted 25. We could do 5 5s. And then if something came in, because right now we're doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're doing Monday 9 to 1, Wednesday 10 to 2, Friday 1 to 4. So it's kind of like staggered for different times of days. And that seems to be working. We're catching them all on either Monday, Wednesday, or Friday right now. But we're just ramping up, if you think about it, into building season. So I'm not sure what crazy schedule that'll look like. But right. we just have to keep moving forward because we have a position.
I agree.
And the other position, I'm going to do a little bit more thinking and meeting, and maybe that's, like I've always said before, when someone leaves, it's a time to look at reorganization to see what worked, what didn't work, and go from there. So Karen's been filling in great. Everybody's been taking a hold and doing, whatever we need to. Wendy's been doing a phenomenal job. Karen's helping out. I'm doing what I can do, but it's a team effort right now, and it's working well. But you can only do that for so long.
Right.
So I'll move on. The tennis courts, as I said, we've got bids out. I do have one back, but that's the only one that they were able to secure as well. I thought maybe having the money would get other interest, but there hasn't been yet. It's still got a couple days left. The boat ramp, I sent you guys an email regarding the Chase Park boat ramp. I have called and I emailed the National Heritage Bureau. That is one box on the application. And I cannot, other than sending them $25 and giving them 10 more days to tell me if there's some endangered species on the shore, I can't do that. So it appears that I just don't think closing the boat ramp is the thing to do. My thought was if there's any way of kind of doing a little bit of a repair, not a full-fledged paving repair, just before the water gets back in there. I think something should be done, and I just don't know. I don't know what. I'm looking for. We all know there's a 3-foot hole there. So.
I mean, we're at the point now where it's do or die. If we don't do something, the ramp's closed. If we do something and it's out of turn, then we face the wrath of the state. But I can't see us, even putting 1.5 inch crushed stone in there as an end all for that. I mean, I see it being a temporary repair, like you said. But at least it'll get us out of the bind for this year.
Well, either way, it's going to need to be filled. That area, that hole needs to be filled in before we can pave anyway. So, right. I mean, the application is for putting down pavement. Do we need a permit to just put back the dirt that got washed away?
I mean, it's still a repair, isn't it, Naomi?
I mean, technically, yes. We've started this whole discussion, and I was thinking of ignoring the pavement as well. Is that hole is deep, and that hole needs to have some fill.
And we're running out of daylight, water.
Running out of dry days, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we got to do something. I think that if you put a light material back in there, I know it's still wetlands, but I just, like you said, I mean, the the backlash of keeping it closed, I don't know. I don't know how
I don't want to repeat
Well-
last year and the whole boat ramp issue.
Well, the other thing is it ended up because of last year, we ended up with people putting in illegal boat ramps on their property to put things, and that can raise another issue.
Right.
And it's not just that, it's the milfoil that could go in with no
That's
inspection
right.
of boats.
Right.
You're not doing the inspections and your due diligence for milfoil or other invasive species.
Right.
And you're going to have the hue and cry of all the other people on the lake trying to get their boats into their cottages. So, I mean,
What's the repercussions if we do make a repair without DES approval? Are we talking fines? Are we talking,
Unknown.
probably
But
fines.
again-
Usually what they do.
Yeah. So I mean, if we put some stone in there to tie it over until next year when a permanent repair can be permitted and processed, are we really that far out of line still?
Good question. There may be an alternative. You might, to get some guidance, maybe if you call up the fishing game and talk to their construction people who do the state boat ramps that are open, they maintain and do, they might be able to give you some guidance somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Something
if we're dumping a six-wheeler, if we're dumping a six-wheel load of stone in there and just spreading it around a little bit, is that really, I'll say, substantial improvement? Because it's really not. It's just making it functional.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to call Fishing Game, Jack. I think that's a great suggestion. Just to see what we're up against.
Yeah, they have a crew that's all they do. I used to know the head of it, but he left and went out on his own. But they, if you call them, they might be able to give you some type of guidance.
Yeah, I'm not looking at paving it. I'm not looking at anything, but we do have that literally huge hole, which is exactly what I think John Osborne had said is they rev it up to power it onto the trailer. It just makes that huge hole.
Oh, yeah,
and it's roughly the same spot for everybody. So we have that huge hole now.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because being a boater myself, I see it in other boat ramps where of similar circumstances.
Yeah.
Years ago there used to be a sign there: turn engines off. Back about 20 feet from where the boat ramp went in the water. It was right there. The sign was right out in the water on a metal post, and it said turn engine off. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I suppose when we fix it, it'll be all right, but
I'm not opposed to that, Sherry, but enforcement would be near impossible.
Yeah, I think so.
The other thing, you run the issue of putting something in the water like a sign. They get touchy about that, like when you have the permits for docks and signage. So that's another issue.
We talked about putting something not in the water, but on the side of the boat ramp, both sides. John mentioned it last time.
Rick, can we ask Mr. Fulton if he can be of any assistance in this? I see he's still listening.
Yeah, no, Andy was great help the other night, and I'll let Andy speak. It's just as a group as a whole, they had someone on ahead of me that didn't have the National Heritage Bureau information either. So I guess, they did their due diligence, I felt, and I was treated the same way, which is what you're supposed to do. Just because we're the town, we're preaching rules to someone else, we should follow the same one. And that's the same reason she wasn't prepared and I didn't have mine either, but Andy is on if you want to ask.
Yes, sir. Please do.
What specifically is the question?
If we fill in the hole at the end of the boat ramp with like material, basically just putting the material back that got, we'll say, washed away, do we need a permit for that? And if we do, and we do it anyway, because we're running out of time there. I believe the boards are going in May 1st. We got 2 weeks. Could be the repercussions of us just going ahead and making a temporary patch repair until we can get DES approval, if we get DES approval.
You mean asphalt patching?
Asphalt, just putting riprap in there, putting 1.25 inch minus, anything to fill that hole.
Yeah, we weren't looking at paving, Andy. We were just going to fill that. There's about a 3-foot hole where you saw the water.
Right. Yeah, and I did visit the lake about a month ago, so I walked along that side and did notice it was pretty rough. So I know what you're talking about. I think for doing something like that, I don't know how you can do it without a permit.
What happens if you do it without a permit?
As far as conceptually having, trying to get something in there that's not going to move around, just to make it so it's not a big divot on the end of the ramp. Personally, I don't have a problem with it. It's it sounds like a reasonable solution, short-term solution, and certainly something relatively inert like stone is pretty hard to construe as a foreign material sort of thing. So I just don't, conceptually, I don't have a problem with it, but as a town, as a resident in town, I would just be wanting to emphasize that that the proper channels are addressed.
No, I agree. My concern is we have what I believe is 2 weeks before the boards go in and the water level starts rising, and it's going to get to the point where, short of putting up those metal pilings to pump the water out of that area and then do any repair.
Right.
We've got a very short window, and
that would be so much more disruptive than something akin to, doing a little raking before it comes back up. I mean, I think we're still allowed to rake a beach, so.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at, Andy, is, we don't want to, I mean, obviously the initial idea was, cut it out, put something, put some really good base under it, put $1,000 worth of pavement on it. But I think we've backed that up to, let's just fill the hole in with a like material, whether it's crushed stone or, just digging back what's gone. But if it's all sand, it's going to leave again. That's why I said maybe a little bit, 1.5 inches crushed. Just to patch that hole for now, with like material, and
just to buy us a year.
Yeah, and we had some ideas that were kicked around at our meeting. The minutes will reflect, and Naomi was there. It was a tough one. I didn't like the way that went at all the other night, but Naomi's represented it accurately in my view, and unfortunately we kind of got the backs against the wall on it.
Yeah, we have to have something in there in place for a couple of reasons. One, the residents on that lake, obviously, we owe it to them to have a safe, operable boat ramp. But two, in case of emergencies, Fish and Game, if they need to launch, if a fire needs to launch their boat,
Marine Patrol. Frankly, we want them to be able to come into the lake, and there are times when they are so valuable out there. Yeah,
absolutely.
A few years ago, we put in a lot of sand up there, didn't we? Didn't the highway department bring sand up on the beach?
Was that to replace all the glass?
That brought the glass, unfortunately.
That brought the glass. They took that out, but they were bringing up sand to add to the beach area. Was there a permit for that?
Yeah. Or maybe it was a permit after the fact when it went wrong. Yeah.
Do you remember?
But
no, we did that right. Once the glass was there, we applied for the permit, and we had to get the old material out because Benji dug the old out and the new was put in. But that was all permitted before, because I went through that with DES.
Right, and that is a big deal. Beach replenishment is something we don't as a town want to mess around without dotting the I's or dotting the T's, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I think as far as doing some grading before the lake comes up, I think it's a bare minimum good idea.
I think we considered maintenance instead of a repair.
Yeah.
And we don't need a permit to do maintenance, correct?
Probably not. I don't know.
If you're using the material that's in the water, or on the edge of the water.
There are all sorts of different things. You know, if you got to bring a backhoe, is it different than if you're just moving things around by hand? They're
Yeah.
I like the term that Andy used, grading. We're regrading it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's no repair. There's no maintenance. We're just grading it.
and the simplest thing is if you use a material that's already there, that's not not going below the low level that we're at now.
And we're not introducing any foreign material, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something we need to pursue, Naomi, is.
Yeah, I'll speak to Benji about that because there is material that's washed away from the hole and everything else, and it's reachable and be able to bring it back. I think is something he could do.
Just to tie us for the year. That's all we're looking for.
Yeah.
At this point in time next year, we'll have an actual permit, repair process, plan, etc., to make this all happen. So.
Yeah, then you're talking about an enhancement, something that should, would be a capital improvement.
That's correct. Yeah, and we know we understand that that's a permitted, operation. 100%.
We still have the permit application out now, don't we, Naomi?
I get it returned. I mean, I still have it needs to be signed by conservation. I signed it. Conservation needs to sign it, and then the town clerk signed it. But you got to follow the steps. So it hasn't been signed. Our application went in, and we got a decline letter because I guess what I thought was I applied for shoreland permit by notification. I was sent back a letter saying that it was denied. I needed a wetlands permit by notification, and I asked why I wasn't crossing a wetland or filling a wetland, but I was working in the shoreland, so I still don't know. I filled out the wrong one at the first time, evidently. So they denied me, and they sent back the check.
All right.
At least they sent our money back. That was.
Yeah, it's $400. You're right. So I think I can talk to Benji, and I think we can go from there and just try to do a little maintenance and use the material that's there and make it better and make it safer.
So we're all pretty much ruling out the fact that we are not going to be putting down any pavement, cement, or
no, I wouldn't.
No.
This year.
Not this year.
This year.
No.
Okay. But make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
Welcome.
So the next one I have is Arbor Day. So Eversource and Asplund, we met with, John can confirm, we met with Parks and Rec, and Parks and Rec decided we would do the maples, and Parks and Rec has staked out both locations, one maple at Chase Park and one maple at Bolton Field. And they're going to do the Arbor Day plant Friday, April 30th, which is next Friday at 2:00. They would like, if we can, a member or two members or so of the Selectmen and Parks and Rec if available. I was told that's school vacation week, so it's a tough week for most, but any and all would be welcome. They'll do a little photo op. It's just, I think it's a nice thing for us to do, so.
Sadly, I won't be able to attend that one. I'll be working.
Okay. Well, it's a tough time of day too. It's 2:00, so I get it. And then tomorrow's my regular day off. That ends the top part. The only thing, nothing's really changed on the bottom part. Again, it looks like I used an old one because it says on the town hall sign. I still have yet to see Walker Roofing. I was promised the end of April, and here we are again. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that one. There's a week and a half left.
Can we reach out to them maybe tomorrow?
Yeah, I can try them again.
Wednesday and just rattle a cage. I don't understand why it's so hard to get them here, but.
Well, I don't understand why you can tell me you're going to do it at the end of April, and I called to confirm and just double check, and nobody says anything. So I'm trying, but I can sure ask again.
I'm going to say if we don't hear from them by the end of April, we go. Enough's enough. I mean, I stood there with him, and he promised, shook hands. Oh yeah, well, I'll be here. I'll call you, and guess what?
Here we are, another bag of goods.
Here we are
Yeah,
again.
and,
It'll be.
it hasn't been that rainy. I mean, it's been dry.
I should have asked
so.
which April of which year. You know.
Yeah, that might have been better.
This has been going on for 2 years, and it's like, no.
Yeah, and the sign, as you all know, I think last week, we're working together with Benji and them, but it's probably going to be May or June before the sign is done all completely. And then we'll need to talk about how we're going to landscape it once it is done. I have to, I've got to chase down Benji and the chief together because that's going to be open pretty soon, and we're going to have to coordinate the signs for the no parking on Reservoir Drive. And then the East Street Barns we talked about earlier. So that's honestly all I have for you guys.
Okay. We'll move on to correspondence, other business.
I had a resident reach out to me not too long. I think it was it wasn't this past Saturday, it was the Saturday before, regarding something Ricky already brought up, which was the firehouse roof, the East Ware Fire Station. So is that, I know that's government building and maintenance, but is that something we need to involve Board of Fire Wards on? I know we talked about it briefly, but I mean, it is in need of repair, and we are responsible for the contents of that building. And if we get another huge windstorm, then we may have issues with that roof.
Yeah, I got an email actually from Chief Vizina this afternoon in regards to the roof. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. And it had several pictures. Right here, it says attached are photos of the roof of the East Ware Fire Station. It's definitely in need of replacement. Is it possible to access government building funds this year or look to the 2021 CIP process? Would you like me to pursue estimates? That was from Chief Vizina.
I think we ought to at this point.
I would say yes.
So pursue estimates and see what we come up with?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Do we want to go with asphalt shingles again, or do we want to get a quote on metal, which is going to last a lot longer?
Well, I think we should ask the chief and the Board of Fire Wards what the long range plan of that station is. And the reason I say that is a 40-year shingle going to suffice the goal, or are we looking to rebuild that station higher to accommodate different trucks in the near future? Again, is there a forecasted plan for that station and that parcel of land?
Yep. And just spitballing this idea out there, we've talked about in the past for other uses. Benji, when we took down the old DPW lean-to, if you will, had a lot of metal roofing, and I believe he stored that aside. Do we want to maybe reach out to Benji and see if he has a plan for that, or can we recycle that is it usable for the firehouse?
He was talking about using it down there at the DPW garage for his bins that he had to put some type of cover over to keep the snow and so forth out of it.
Okay.
Then again, it's corrugated metal roofing. I don't know what kind of shape it's in. So, I mean, I don't know if it'd be worth putting on top of that building. It would probably got nail holes and everything else in it. So,
like I said, I was just spitballing the idea. I know we've got we had or have the material still. Just trying to throw something out there that may save us a few bucks for this year. Who knows?
I think, let them get the quotes and see what it is for either asphalt or metal roof. And if you're going to do that, like I said, the other thing is whatever their long range plan is.
Yeah. I mean, the one good thing about that building is there's no, hips, there's no valleys. It's a pretty straight, dry, low pitch roof. So I think that will definitely reflect in the quotes, hopefully. All right. Any other correspondence, other business?
Yeah, I had a neighbor call me up the other day and said that they had heard a couple of people in town were kind of upset about the tax rate, the houses being reassessed and possibility of going up 30%. And I think a lot of it sounded like the people thought that their taxes were going to go up 30%. So maybe we could send out, when we send the tax bills out in June, maybe a little explanation of what that really is, and that when your house is reassessed, it doesn't mean your taxes are going up 30% because your tax rate will fall. So maybe we can have Naomi put something together and have it put in with the tax bill so people are aware.
Well, that was something that I asked Avatar to do when they let us know about that, was the fact that there was going to be such a sticker shock of the price increase, not knowing the backside that, obviously the valuation will equalize and level out behind. Because again, that was one of the concerns I had. Exactly what it sounds like, the people you talk to have. So they said, Avatar said that they were going to make up an informational piece to go with it.
Well, will you have to pay for that? Is that a separate?
It didn't sound like it. Maybe
I
didn't hear it.
That if you mail it together, it would save the postage. That was all.
Yeah, and I think it was going to go with the assessment numbers that changed. That was the plan, I thought.
Yeah.
And maybe I didn't misunderstood that. Other board members were there. Maybe they want to chime in, but that's kind of the way I understood it. Was I asked to make sure we had clarification on that, so we didn't have a bunch of passing out.
I agree with you, Ricky. I understood it that they were going to send something out when they did that.
Okay. All right. Any other business?
Yeah, I got a question for Jack, going to the planning board. Not too long ago, they had a conceptual, I believe it was, with a development firm out of Massachusetts. Has that gone anywhere in terms of what's actually going to be coming in? Because I'm hearing some concerns from some citizens regarding what type of business is going to be coming in.
You're referring to the one on South Stark Highway next to Langtop property. The person who's buying it, a development company, and it's out of Las Vegas, actually.
No, Jack, involved. The Las Vegas one was over on the store, looking the store. He was the storage guy, was from Las Vegas. On South Stark Highway was he was the Aubuchon gentleman.
Right, that's the guy, and part of it's hooked up with the guy from Vegas, the way I understood it. But they're looking at they deal with property and real estate to put in either an Aubuchon, Dollar General, or a dollar store or something along that line. And they hadn't had a definite contract with whoever was looking to go in there, but they were looking as a conceptual to put a building in that property.
Have they already bought the land?
No. So, John, I went by there today, and there was a bunch of people. They were doing test pits. And then I met the gentleman downstairs, and he looked at the aquifer maps and some other maps that we had. So they're gathering their information, and then they'll put together a plan, based on the slopes and the soils and everything else they've got to go into it. And from there, they do O'Reilly Auto Parts, Aubuchon Hardware, Dollar General, and Family Dollar or something like that. So what they typically do, and sorry, Jack, what they typically do, I was there that night too, is they go in and they kind of permit it all. They get all the permission, all the permits for a square building, parking and whatever, and it's going to be retail. And then they go after they get all the approvals, and they'll sell it to somebody, whether it be, like I said, he named off 4 businesses that he's typically dealt with. But any one of them could say no, and it could be something. Because I've heard the same from, are we going to put Aubuchon next to Country 3? Are we going to put O'Reilly across from Sanel's? Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, or whatever they're called. That's not here. But again, it was all conceptual, and he can't tell you who's going to buy it.
So somebody's already bought the land or is this
No, they've got a purchase and sales with the gentleman that owns it.
okay?
And the purchase and sales probably contingent upon the sustainability of the building that he wants to put there, the parking and everything else.
Naomi, where's this going? If it goes in?
Right, the red house next to.
Oh, okay, no, the little red one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's Dunkin' Donuts, and then there's the White House that was Lang Tots, and then there's a little
Next
red
place.
one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's all contingent upon the soils, and they still had to see if they could get a permit for DOT, traffic. There was a lot of things they still had to search out, so I don't think it's been bought yet. I think there's a PNS contingent upon a lot of things.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. The PNS is on it, and they're dealing with the owner who's in Florida at the time. But
I saw him back today, though. He was standing there next to the excavator.
But they were pretty confident that they would probably come to an agreement the way it sounded.
Yeah.
Do we know what the potential square footage of this building is?
Not off the top of my head, but I probably can. I had the plan. I think, Jack, you have the plan too. It was just a small little plan.
I want to say it was somewhere in the area, I believe, around 10,000 square feet.
I think it was just shy of that because that triggers another.
Right. It was just shy of 10,000, right in that area.
Okay. Motion we adjourn?
I got one other piece. If nobody else has anything, I got one piece. I got distracted. I heard the beeping. Just it seems to me, I just kind of sat back a little bit tonight and listened to the the woes that we're having in trying to obtain personnel to fill spots. I guess I feel that maybe some of the avenues that have worked in the past don't work so well anymore. As far as, the messenger, we did get a vision on that, but, newspaper is declining. The real avenues is like a social media, or like a New Hampshire Works or something like that. Internet-based, web-based, etc. I just don't know how to broadcast it correctly to get it out there in a fashion that would be effective. But I feel that maybe some of the stuff, the ways that we're going, the Concord Monitor, the Union Leader, the Messenger, even New Hampshire Municipal might be a little outdated to find, qualified applicants to apply for these positions.
Well, the other thing, I totally agree with you. A lot of people I've seen push social media, but you know me, I don't do Facebook, and I'm not going to do Facebook just for that. But I wonder, we do have avenues with the fire, the police, and the library. We probably could get them to share, positions that are available.
Right.
I think you're right. I know some towns have used Indeed, but Indeed, they said, you get about 100 applications that you have to weed through, and a lot of them have, I'll say, no experience to what you're looking for. They just have to fill so many to keep an unemployment check moving, because they have to keep continuing to look for work. That's what I always used to know.
What about New Hampshire Employment Security?
Yeah, I don't know if they have a website, but I know, like Ricky had said, I know several of the companies and friends of ours, they keep advertising of employment opportunities. Actually, I've seen golf sounds on there.
I think that also goes hand in hand with the New Hampshire Works. Out of employment security.
Yeah, I think, like Ricky is getting to, those social media today is more than, I don't think anybody goes to Concord Monitor. I don't really think anybody goes to Union Leader. The Messenger, you have to advertise by law in a paper of circulation. At least they haven't changed that to my knowledge. So that's why we use that one, because it's about a third of the price of the other two. But it doesn't mean you can't. I could ask the library to post something. I could ask, I'm not sure if Where in the World is still moving, but they have 12 or 1,500 subscribers. stuff that has to go statewide. It only goes.
You know, but you also have the Monitor and the Union Leader also have their online part. I think more people read that than they do the printed word, so to speak, on paper.
Well, I'm willing to try anything. You know what I mean?
I know some other government agencies have to, you know, they're mandated to advertise in a statewide circulation type venue.
That was that name we just said. You still have to advertise in a newspaper. And the messenger,
the messenger, I don't know if it's statewide, but some of them are required to statewide.
It's just say of local newspaper of local circulation is what it said.
So
I'm just saying, like I said, there's got to be a, web-based, like you said, an Indeed, a New Hampshire Works, something like that. And sure, I'm sure you're going to get the box fillers that they're going to, just check the box to fulfill other things. But in that 1 of 100, could you have 4 qualified candidates looking to?
Yeah, I mean, we're not getting, we might as well, funnel your energy somewhere else. It's not working.
Right.
I totally hear you.
Just a thought, because right now, the job market's got to be pretty hungry. There's a lot of jobs out there to be had. So exposure is going to be huge. And if we just don't have the exposure, I don't think we're going to get the qualified applicants to even look at us.
Yeah.
So
my employer, I've got 2 openings for heavy equipment mechanics, and we're advertising all over the place. And we've had 3 interviews in the past year. And
yeah,
it's the whole, for skilled labor, it's hard to find qualified individuals.
Right. And it sounds like you're blanketing the network pretty hard, but just no applicants. So again, I just wanted to put that out there.
Keep trying. Keep trying and put it out there. And in the meantime, I'll probably have to lean a little bit with mutual aid and see, because, Chip made it very clear that it wasn't going to be a full-time thing.
Right. No, I agree. And I don't disagree with him at all. But
right.
Like I said, I think we have to do our due diligence to try and find qualified candidates too.
Absolutely.
So.
We have a meeting Wednesday, correct?
That is correct.
What time?
We're going to start at 6:30.
6:30.
We are meeting upstairs, downstairs?
Upstairs, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Upstairs in the conservation room.
Okay.
So, anything else? Any other members want to speak? I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
That's enough of a quorum for me.
Good night.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Don't forget the tennis courts on Wednesday.
Tennis courts on Wednesday.